Yes, growing up, we were surrounded by people who were richer and famous, and more richer and famous and had more than what we did. And there was the excitement of the fame that allured us all. We wanted to be in the right scenes, at the right parties, doing the right things, being with the right people, and wearing the right things, and just being on the pulse of being icons and, entertaining the industry, of all industries that we wanted to set ourselves to. Once we set our minds to something, we wanted to approach that industry, and we wanted to just dominate it. And we just wanted our names out on everything. We just wanted to own everything. And we wanted to be a big family force, to be recognized, and to not be pushed around by any other bigger families. We wanted to be the most famous family. And while we had our internal problems with each individual members having different problems with each other from time to time, we were a big unit. And while we were eroding sometimes on the inside, on the outside, when we needed to be together as a team, we could stand and stick together as a team to get what we wanted. It was humble at the beginning. We wanted to do all the hard work, and we wanted to make it ourselves. And we did do a lot of the groundwork ourselves, and it was hard, and we wanted to. We had high expectations of ourselves, but we also knew that we had to work a lot. And then as we kind of got more famous and more well known, we just paid people to do the lower work for us. And we kind of lost control of our creative ownerships to some things. And we just didn't really care about the smaller details. We just relied on the workforce and the people around us to get us what we wanted. And then we just rested on our fame and our names and our fortune to get what we wanted, and to get the invites and the placements and the products that we felt like we deserved. So originally we did want to work and earn our placements, but that very quickly, the motivation to work hard, and honestly, became too much of a chore, when we really just wanted to be kind of divas and just enjoy our rich and famous lifestyles. We got completely sidetracked from it. While our families tried to keep us humble with our connections with each other and the family dynamics and dramas, we were really beyond any stretch of the imagination to be humble. We had done so many things that had gone past our moral compasses. We pushed the limits, and even though we felt like we were good people who just wanted to get ahead, and you have to do a lot of shitty things to get ahead in our industries, we saw everyone else doing it. So we felt that this was just part and parcel, and we were not ever going to be left behind. We were never going to be excluded from any parties or any events. We needed to be the most talked about, the most needed and wanted in high demand. This is what we expected from each other and as a group. And we worked really hard to make this possible. Our production teams and our people who were creating all the hype and drama around us. It was a big industry, a big marketing ploy, really. We needed to have the big higher dramas to get our audience's attentions And you'll know that most of our bigger dramas happened around big fashion events and big times in our society themes, just so people could keep talking about us when those bigger events happened. We wanted to be on everyone's lips, and we didn't want to fade away. We knew that there were so many other families wanting to vie in and become the next family, and who was kind of the royals of this social media reality TV, that we did not want it to end, even though it was tiresome to not truly be our real selves in the cameras, because we had so much of drama going on behind the scenes that it was very soft-edged family dynamics that was played out on the screens, because there was so much bigger stuff that was happening behind the scenes that we never wanted anyone to know about. And so the very surface drama that you did see on our shows was purposefully choreographed and orchestrated to have light entertainment, which was designed for the audience to feel like they were a part of an extension of our families. But we have to say, absolutely, there was so much more going on behind the scenes that our lives would have been actually okay if that had been the truth of our lives. But unfortunately, there was so much other things going on behind the scenes. And it was all about us trying to get ahead and to cut bigger deals and to have bigger illusions that we were bigger, more richer and more famous and more desirable. And so we just created illusion upon illusion upon illusion. And it did get on top of us. And as I said, there were so many other people who were in the industry with the bigger names as well, doing what we didn't realize we were getting involved in originally. It was just a slow, when we started getting involved with the crimes against humanity, it was just the drug, and we did not know the origin of this drug. And so while there were some family members who were very addicted to the drug, we also did not know that our the staff working for us and our managers were all promoting us to support and be connected to people who are big players in these rituals and these bigger crimes. And we didn't know that we were on the very fringe of these events, really. And this is sort of amusing to us now, because we desperately wanted to go to these bigger events that we knew some of these big names were going to, and we were never really allowed to. Because we were seen as that kind of wannabe, trashy kind of family that desperately wants fame and fortune and will sell any little story to the media. This was taken seriously by the bigger names who didn't want to include us in their secret societies, which is a blessing, because I don't think any of us actually really wanted to have been a part of those rituals. We were a part of connecting with the people who did the rituals. We did businesses with them. We supported their other companies. We were very close to them as people and people in our industry, but we never actually were trusted enough, because we looked so gossipy with our reality TV show, to have been invited in to those more sacred, secret rituals and events. And that was truly a blessing, because I don't think any of us could cope with actually being more involved than we were. It was really hard for us to understand how people could have done all of the rituals and the brutality and the sex trafficking and the everything else. It was because we were females and we were just trying to get the fame and wear fancy clothes and be famous for just being us. It wasn't like we had to get movie roles or, we were famous for being us, whereas the other people who did get involved, they were the ones that had to get really entrapped into the rituals and the ceremonies because they really needed to go the extra mile, and they didn't have the bigger family connections. So the individuals were picked off one by one, really, to be indoctrinated into these groups. So it was, well, we didn't know exactly what was happening, and even if people had tried to tell us, we would not have been able to believe it because it's just too horrific to believe. We did experience the financial rewards from endorsing products and endorsing people who have and who did those rituals. And we were part of the that drug scene without knowing what that drug, how that drug had been produced. And we did use the products part of it. It's not just the adrenochrome. There was other byproducts that were being produced from these rituals that we were also privy to. So while we were not part of the ceremonies as such, we still were aware to some degree that the money that was coming from these industries and these products, what they were there was always a darker side to it. And while we didn't really want to know, we never actually knew the full extent of it. And so it was about just being foolish and trusting people who we thought were trying to support our careers and endorse the right people to support our careers. And we didn't realize what we truly were endorsing. And that is horrific. We were so blinded by our own dramas, our own agendas to be rich and famous and to keep on with our entertainment production. We did not fully know all. And when we did start making concerns about these events, that's when we were cloned out because we weren't able to continue on with the charade of it. When we figured out what the drug was and how it had been produced, things changed rapidly for us because we suddenly became more aware of these events. So it was hard for us to comprehend this. And while we didn't know when we started, it started becoming very clear as time went on what was actually happening. And the people who were struggling because they had been involved in these rituals were starting to come to us and starting to share their experiences. And we couldn't believe it. It just sounded too crazy. And all the drug industry, we also connected to different types of drugs and stuff. You just don't know if the person's just hallucinating, having a breakdown, like what the drama is. And it was just so much. And we started having to ask some of these bigger questions. And that's when we were realizing that we were stuck in something quite insidious and there was actually no way to get out of it. we had been so much in the products. We had been using so much of the products, and it was, the byproducts of these crimes. We were just shocked. It was so challenging, and we couldn't just keep up the facade. And so that's when we started getting cloned out and replaced with the clients who could just keep up with their roles of having these entertainment factors, and being part of the family, the illusion to keep up with us, and our reality TV show, and it is just keep playing the same role to entertain people, to distract them from their own lives, and to keep up with the thirst for the average person wanting to keep up with the names and the brands and the fashion and the everything. It's the illusion of peer pressure, keeping people feeling small with their real lives, while watching this family traveling around the world, having these family dynamics, and trying to make it seem like this was the real big problem that people have who are rich and famous, is just these small conflicts with family, which is so beyond the truth. There is so much more about trying to keep up with each other in this industry. Not only do you need to be young and connected and rich and everything, but you also need to know how to shut up and to play by the rules and not get anyone into trouble. And when people are starting to have massive meltdowns because their consciences start kicking in and they just crack from the pressure, it's a really dangerous situation. So many people would try to have big breakdowns and try and alert people using social media about what on earth is happening. And as soon as they crack, their Twitter accounts, everything just gets shut down, and it is wiped and the history's gone. And it is amazing how we have seen so many people have these big public meltdowns, and for it to be instantly wiped and swept under the rug and no one speaks about it. It was just like, you can't even escape, you can't even try and get the truth out, even if you were willing to tell the truth. And we didn't want to tell the truth. There's so much other things that are underneath our closets. We didn't want to be the ones to share this to the world. It was way too big, and we didn't want to lose our platforms, but we also couldn't keep it up. And so we were struggling, and that's when we started getting cloned out. And it was a challenge because we were having to then be replaced. And it was individually we were being replaced, and we had been arrested while the clone had been put in our position. We had been arrested individually, and we had to confess and talk about everything we've experienced and name and go into great details of everything that we had witnessed and experienced. And then sometimes we had to go back in and swap out with the clone for certain events to be able to get more intel. And it was really stressful and scary because we just didn't know how we were going to even survive that. Being double agents to this stuff is very stressful. And this time I did have I conceived North naturally. And that's when, because I didn't want to take any drugs while I was pregnant, that was when I was a little bit more open and had clearer mind of what was actually happening. And that's when I first started getting the sense, actually, that my friends and my family were all into something a little bit more deeper. then, and that was when I really got a big sense of actually what on earth was happening. And so that was really hard. I was kept away from my daughter because she got to stay with the clone and with my family. And it was really challenging when I was able, those very few times, to go back out to be mixed in with the family. It was a very controlled situation. And it was just merely just to get more intel. But it was really hard and challenging to convince myself that I was going to be able to get more info. And it was just too much, and I just got too sad. I thought I could help that way, but it just wasn't the right. So they ended up getting the clone to do all of it, and it was just challenging and so isolating, and heartbreaking to know that I was away from my real family, and I felt like at least I was safe and that I was cooperating and helping. But then as I discovered that I actually was a lot more involved with it, and I had been a lot more naive, and I actually had contributed to a lot more problems with just with being who I was being. I had coerced girls to come to parties, and then had sort of encouraged everyone to come to parties, and there was a lot of drugs there, and just my endorsements of people coming and then getting totally out of control. They were parts of other crimes, and while I didn't have the direct agenda to do these crimes, I was a part of these crimes. And then as more and more time went by, my family were more and more involved with these other crimes. And it was part of the package, in their opinion, that they had to continue on this path to keep their status, to keep their lifestyles. And we were all, we didn't create these crimes, but we also continued on with them in some degrees, even though we did not do the rituals. We gained financially and through products that were part of the rituals. So yeah, we were definitely involved, even though we didn't fully know all the ins and outs of it. And then when we were more involved, I know for myself, I just couldn't cope with it. And my keeper knew that, and then reported me in. And that's when I was cloned out. Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow, that suddenly I was having this lifestyle of rich and famous, to then being isolated from my family, and having to find out that my family were getting deeper and deeper and deeper involved with this. And then to see through the TV, my family, and quotations marks me, going through this life dramas of stuff, was really hard to watch. And I just had really hoped that at some point it all could just have ended. And it just was a very long time waiting for all of this to play out. And then, of course, because the clone is involved in more crimes against humanity products and endorsements, it just gets more complicated. But I wasn't innocent, because I definitely overlooked a lot of the crimes just to get my products and my fame and status in the world. So it was justified that I was executed as I was, because I was not innocent. And while I did not perform any of the rituals, I was aware. And I was stuck. I had no idea how I could have taken this publicly. And we had seen a few people try to take it publicly, and it just turned really bad for them. And it was just, it felt like an impossible situation. And I'd already got so much involved with it when I had got caught and switched out, when I had my moral consciousness opened up, and I realized what I had done. And I really actually didn't realize truly what I had done until I had been cloned out. And then everything was told to me. And I really had still wanted to be in quite a lot of denial. Didn't want to question things, didn't want to know, I just wanted to accept it and just get bigger, more followers, more endorsements. And so I didn't have humanity's best interests at heart. I didn't even really have my family's best interests at heart. I just wanted my best interests at heart. I really just wanted to be the best I could be. And I just wanted to be famous. I just wanted all the attention. I wanted to be the most beautiful woman. I wanted to be the most wanted after woman. And that focus and drive took away all my humanitarian aspects. And I think people are going to see when the broadcast happens and they see our involvement with it, they're going to be confused because the clone has taken up really positive attributes to helping humanity, helping the people who have been in prison for crimes they've never committed. The clone Kim has been really diligent in trying to make good. And this is part of a ploy as well, is to show people that even though you could have done crimes against humanity, many 10 years ago, you can still, not 10 years ago, but you know what I mean, like in the past, you can do crimes against humanity and then take a moral turn and try to do good for humanity and be a really good positive person who is got positive messages and morals for humanity, and really trying to be a positive citizen who can start thinking more about themselves, as most celebrities do try to do that, but then their charities always are very self-serving. So it looks good on paper that you're going to this charity event, but it really is just supporting each other's bank accounts to continue on with the lifestyles, and then there's not really that much that gets done. I mean, you'd think if everyone was sincere and all of their fundraisers went to the real causes, the real problems with the world, there would be no hunger, there would be no homelessness, there would be no harder challenges really, because there is so much money in the world. If it was distributed appropriately and considerately, and people weren't getting paid these exorbitant price salaries, and everyone just lived a comfortable lifestyle rather than a ridiculously exorbitant lifestyle, that would create everyone on this world right now would be able to be housed and fed and nurtured and safe. But it hasn't happened like that. Too many people want to be greedy, and too many people don't want to help others, really. It doesn't look, well, it looks good to boast that you're a humanitarian, that you're at a soup kitchen once a year for a photo opportunity. That doesn't do much And it's the true heroes of humanity that are doing this daily and regularly, and they're living these humble lifestyles, and they are caring truly about their fellow man and being really great and caring and kind and considerate the entire time, not just when cameras are there. And there is something to be said for people who only do volunteer work and give out donations when there is when you can rush back and post it on your social media, for example. As soon as you've done something from charity, but you have to post and brag about it, it's no longer from your heart, it's all from your ego. And it is just a shame. And while our whole family is ashamed of how they got coerced into this and participated in this, we have had to pay the price for that. And we are ashamed and embarrassed and disappointed that we as a team couldn't have found a better way to have approached this. We were a broken family for many reasons, and that's not an excuse. That is to try and explain how dysfunctional we truly were. And while you can see on even the veneer thin layer that we've provided for you in our show, it goes much bigger than that. The fractions of our family, it is very light what is presented to you. There is much more that goes behind the scenes, unfortunately. So what you did see was definitely edited to suit the narrative that needed to be fed to the fans, to keep them focused and distracted from their own lives. Yeah, there is so many people that were in the same situation as us. And actually, if we had all connected together and had been brave and all stood up together and had shared what we have all combinedly experienced, maybe then with those numbers, we could have actually changed the tables. But it's so scary to think if we failed, where would we be? We would be run out of town. We would lose all our status, and I know that shouldn't matter. But it was such a huge price to pay for the gamble of exposing what had happened. And so I hadn't even got that far thinking about going publicly. I just knew I couldn't continue on, and I just was about to have a massive breakdown with it all. And having a new baby at that time too, I was so sensitive to the world, and it was like having an epiphany, a seriously big epiphany of what the world was doing behind the scenes, and it was way too much, and it was just too hard. It was just too hard. So yeah, there's nothing we can do about it now. It is all part of the experience for people to feel like they're so close to our family that they know us in and out. And when they find out even we were involved in this, and then we had been executed for this will shake people up even more. Like regardless of whether you love us or hate us, there is still no way that anyone would naturally guess that we were part of the problem with these crimes against humanity. We were also partaking in the byproducts of this. We were also on the fringes of these rituals. No one would when it all comes out, people would then be like, oh, well, it makes sense that you guys are involved. But you were never given the sense that we were part of something that was so inhumane and disgusting, because we come across as humanitarians. it's our kind of our ploy is to be considerate, and especially in the last few seasons, we've tried to sort of have like interest pieces as such. So it is going to really break a lot of people's faith in people when they find out how many people are involved. And it is to break down your respects of icons, because icons have their own other agendas. They want the numbers of the fans, they want to be the most popular, they want to be most endorsed, they want to be the most richest. You know, it becomes an obsession to be the biggest, and you will do anything to keep that status. It is an obsession. And when a new person starts rising up in the ranks, it's like an enemy. It's a direct threat to your position in the celebrity world, and it's hard work to keep doing right and not doing anything that is seen outside of the box. Because while we all boast that we want to be individual and unique and special, there's definitely limitations to that. And no one really has the courage to go too far out and push those boundaries, because we are very much still kept in boundaries. And so it is how society has definitely evolved into this very superficial industry, and it is mind-numbing and does not feed the soul. Watching our episodes is just merely entertainment with no actual real value, apart from seeing dramas from a family who are constantly trying to appear like they have a real lives. But it's very, very light in content, and this is something you'll enjoy knowing afterwards, and you'll be able to see and judge it more, because everyone's moral compasses have been finely focused and peer pressured and attuned to materialism. People have been enjoying watching our over-the-top materialism because it's exciting to see our closets and the way that we live, even though you truly don't get the full access. The illusion that you're in amongst our houses and amongst our gossip is very, very pleasing to many people. It's very indulgent, in the safety of your own home. Yeah, it's definitely an entertainment factor, which doesn't have the purity of helping humanity grow. Not at this point. After the broadcast, after you know what our crimes are and what everyone else's crimes are, you're going to be able to see these with such disdain, knowing what has happened. And this will help you feel more confident within your own selves how you want to live your lives, and you will revalue all of your materialistic tendencies quite profoundly, and you'll actually be quite repulsed by the need for new material possessions. And people who have lived their lives just around materialistic possessions as an extension of who you are and the position you have in society because of that, after that crumbles, you really have to look at the kind of person you are and see if you like the person that you are, even with your old products and your old brands, and nothing's new and latest anymore. And so it is going to be a massive adjustment to those people who feel like they are valid and they're good people because they are on top of fashion and on top of all the technologies. So yeah, there's so much more to actually really truly focus on for your own growth, and it's certainly not from products. And yeah, it does quickly be viewed quite differently after the broadcast when you see everything. Your natural longings and desires and ways that you want to fit in the world, all of that will just be ripped off, and as it should, because it never should have been placed here. It's so nonsense now, and now you're going to focus on the true things that matter, and it's about caring for others, truly caring for others, supporting each other, and all of the products just are meaningless. And while I now know that a lot of people live like that, and they do have good intentions with other people, and they don't have any focused on the materialistic side of things, either through how they present themselves to the world and their wardrobes and what their cars are and where they live. I actually now can see that there is a lot of really good people who don't live anything like we were, and actually have truly happy lives and actually have really nice connections to people. They're confident with who they are because they know who they are. And when people have been hiding behind their products and their latest gadgets and cars and stuff, that's because they don't know who they are, and so they're hiding behind the things that they own, hoping that makes a statement about them. And so those people who are still really materialistically driven, they are going to have to drop that shell of protection, and actually have to figure out who they are, how they function as an adult, as a being, and what they take for value. And it is definitely a different outlook. It's very when we can see it from the bigger picture now, it is really purposeful how everyone has seen us grow. But because you don't know about the clone factor, and you don't know about me struggling to come to terms with it when I suddenly realize what we're surrounded with, you'll just see me evolving to be more and more and more. The clone becomes more humanitarian focused and does consider other people and tries to find out legal systems that can support people who have had injustices. And so they've tried to make the Ditzy Kim Kardashian actually have integrity and smarts, and try to be a brain and help people that way, and that has got some good traction. So that is positive, absolutely. But then it's going to confuse people, because even someone who has come from in my history, and then made themselves up to be quite a respected businesswoman and a considerate person, trying to help humanity get better. And even when you find out someone like myself, even though I'm telling you where I left and where the clone continued, when you don't know that and you see the evolution of her, it's still going to be quite shocking that even someone like that has been corrupted into this very big group of people who have been making these crimes against humanity. So there's big lessons there. It's because every industry has people who have been part of, in some small way or some large way, doing these things that haven't been honest, haven't been asking the bigger questions, and haven't been challenging their systems. They have been peer pressured into going with the flow. And so everyone has been manipulated. The whole system's been manipulated for another agenda. And so while we're all innocent in some degree, because we weren't part of these bigger crimes, we all definitely got our hands caught in the cookie jar, but that's not the right analogy, because it doesn't honour actually what had happened. It doesn't actually start to honour the crimes. The crimes are so harrowing. The crimes are so repugnant, and I still haven't even wanted to think about those crimes, because it's just, I just want to make excuses about how I didn't really know. And when I did try to know, I couldn't get out of bed, and then I was cloned. So like, I'm still taking time to process what I was involved with, because I can't emotionally, as a person who loved my daughter, and I loved my family, I don't even want to own up to my role of how I was part of that. And I know I have, and I will better. But even just like talking about this, I know so many people are going to be trying to connect with me when they find out, and to try and connect with my soul and find out, is this even true? And I haven't even really confessed this to anyone. I mean, I had to at the tribunal own up to my part of this, and all with trying to help with telling the investigators about who was involved and how, and what was the other experiences and stuff. I still haven't processed the trauma of it all. And I haven't wanted to tap into the actual crimes. I have only been able to experience and focus on the people who I know, because it's so still huge, even for me, even after I have passed. I don't even want to explore that yet. I'm still trying to work out all of the things I have done in my life, and kind of go through my life review that way. So it is still work in progress for me, and I'm not looking forward to when more people know about my direct connection with this, and my family is certainly not either. It's just our time to try and process this ourselves. Yeah, it is surreal. It is surreal, and there is purposes and lessons there for everyone knowing. But it is still taking its time, even though there is no time to process this, because we have to look at how we could have done something better to be able to help. But also, this needed to happen to be able to really wake up humanity as well, because they feel like they witnessed our lives. And even if we could be involved in something so horrific as those crimes against humanity, it's going to make people really, really, really question everything even more. Because most politicians, most bankers and other industries, you only know them by name, sort of. But because you came into our homes and you saw all our birthday parties and our weddings and our births and all our things that we opened up to you, you all feel like you're distant cousins, shall we say, still experiencing our dramas. And it's just like with all the other reality TV shows, the bonus of you as the audience coming in nice and intimately to our lives makes you feel like you're an extension of our families, of our friendships. And so you needed to experience us, regardless of whether you felt we were cringeworthy or the best family ever. You all got to witness us, and then for you to find out soon that we were a part of something that was so tremendously shocking. It is our role that we wanted to play as well. But we're still unpacking it. We knew that we were going to be doing what we were going to be doing. This is part of our life contract. But you still have to grow from it on the other side. Even though we did commit to doing this, you still have to learn from those lessons. And it takes a while. You don't learn from your lessons by living your life experience. that is partly it. Then you have to unpack it on the other side and see how it affects the other person and the dynamics of that. And so it's deeper than just living it to learn. You do a lot of learning on the other side, and when you see it from the bigger perspective, and when you can see and tap into the reactions of other people from your own behavior and responses and actions. So that's where we're still at, is processing that. So I know it is unfathomable to think about the crimes, and I will be processing that myself as well, because it needs to. Every soul who has been affected by this has to process it and go deep into the understanding of it. And it's not something that people beings want to jump off at the first point. Okay. I hope this explains my position more. I feel like partly I still wanted to excuse my behavior and sort of say that I was the victim, but I also was not the victim. I also partaked in the crimes. And so I'm still processing this myself, and I haven't completely passed over. I'm still in the in-between realm, and because I want to experience the feeling of everyone knowing that I was involved with it. And to be able to do that, you still have to be still connected to this world. And so I'll be experiencing a lot of my fans thinking and feeling of me the way that they will when they are shocked to hear me. And so this is part of exploring and learning from this experience. And I'll be learning and growing from that and understanding those emotions as well. And it is interesting because you energetically can go into the body of the person while they're experiencing the shock and grief of what they've just discovered about you. And so you can feel the energy of the shock and the denial and the anger and the pain and the disbelief. And while that must sound weird that anyone will experience it, it actually is quite an important growing experience as well, because you can never truly grow from your own actions when you're doing them. It is the reactions of others that's when you learn from them and experience it too. And so it is important to use that and use other people's energetic bodies to really feel their connection to me, and then their belief system and the shock of it. And so I will be here until the shift as well. That's when I will transition over and watching and experiencing things. And this is what I wanted to do, was to not be as dense with the energies. Also with the natural disasters that are happening, I didn't want to be part of that either. And so I am in the in-between energetically, and I will be here. I'm more so connecting as much as I can with my daughter and my husband and some of my friends, and just watching them experiencing these last days, and watching how they're responding and wanting to lend out my energy so they can feel some encouragement and support, but remembering that they don't even know that I'm cloned. And so it is a tricky, interesting experience. But it is fine. It is all fine. It is purposeful. It is all tremendous growing. I know it gets confusing, but it is what it is. And I've grown as a soul because of it. And I still know that I did love the fame. and I did love the attention, and I still love that. I still love that, even though that cost me. I still love that. And I know that that is very ego based to still feel that way. But this is what I wanted in this lifetime. I have had other lifetimes where I was not anything like the life I had. And this was a lifetime where I wanted something quite different. And so it was purposeful. It was purposeful and it was designed. And I did exactly what I was supposed to do and what I wanted. I was supposed to cope a lot longer, but I didn't. I did not cope once I figured out what was happening. I actually didn't want to believe it. And then when I was taken and interviewed and basically told that I was never going to be able to go back to my family again, it was a very surreal moment and a real challenging one. But now I can understand why the significance of that was. It was just, we would never have been able to have broken it out publicly, and we would have jumped into much more harder drugs, and we would have just destroyed our lives and drugs if we had fully known what we were doing and what we were involved with and who we were involved with. And so that could not have taken place. We still had to have a purpose of doing many years of TV shows to open up and be entertaining people with the illusion of what rich and famous families look like. I know I'm not asking for anyone to forgive me or forgive my family because we do not deserve forgiveness because what we did was not right. But I do want you to know the purpose and the lessons there. And when you have the bigger mindset, there is no judgment. It is all just an experience. But if you are still in that shock and that judgmental place, that is also fine. It's just something you need to be aware of, because when you hold anger in your heart and judgment in your heart, you also hold anger and judgment within yourself. And so it's impacting you. And while I do understand that you should never condone what we have done ever, and I'm not asking you to, just be able to balance your emotions and not trip into the negative emotions. You have to see it from neutral. You have to understand what your lessons here and the purpose of this lifetime are, remembering you have multiple lifetimes and you want to experience all of the lessons and grow from them profoundly so you never need to repeat them. So there's big lessons here, and as you put them into place and make peace with them and grow from them, it will honor the situation more. And remembering that the victims of the crimes against humanity, they also chose those. It wasn't forced upon them as you think. Their souls signed up for this, just like your souls have signed up for this now. So remembering it from the bigger picture does take away the sting of the emotions. And of course, if you want to marinate yourself in the emotions and take a long time to process those emotions, you're more than welcome to. You have your free will. As long as it's serving you to be able to process those emotions how you are, and then that is completely valid. But remembering there is a lot of other things that are going on, and processing emotions and releasing them as fast as you can without taking you out of neutral is something you should all be trying to practice. So I just hope that this has been insightful and helpful for you, and I trust however you want to process this information, you will the best you can. And so thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for me to speak about my experience. And I don't want anyone to worry about me, because I am processing it all myself as well. And I do want to say sorry to the people who are disappointed in me. It wasn't my intention. And I know I will be able to learn from this and grow as well. So thank you very much for your time. I say this with kindness and much love to all.